builders, parents, and collectors. On this episode of the Creation Evaluation Station, we will be evaluating this. It's Lego 3-in-1 Cyber Drone, and we're also going to be evaluating this. And we're also going to be evaluating this. Yes, we're going to be evaluating this. We have three, so we can do all three at once. And before I get any further with my video here, just let people know who aren't familiar, I do in-depth reviews of models and construction kits, mostly Lego, but other products as well. I also do reviews of other creative works such as movies, comic books, and video games. And because they're in depth, they can be on the long side. This isn't a big set, but we're covering three, so it might be on the longer side. And so there are timestamps down below that you can use. You can skip around and watch the parts that you're most interested in. Well, let's look at that a little closer. You can see you got three different builds. It's the main one. I don't know, they all look to be about the same size, so I guess the jet they show on the front's really the main one, but we'll see what happens. That is the back. I like all three of these builds. That's one reason why I got three. Also, it comes with a really cool minifigure that's a droid type thing that is basically classic space. And I wanted more of those, and this is one way to get more, is have three and have all three different cool vehicles. So anyways, getting to the stats of this guy, it's set number 31111. That's 4 ones. It's for ages 6 and up, and has 113 pieces and retails for $9.99. It's a nice small set. Looks like a lot of fun as well. We'll talk more about that later. And it was released January of 2021, so it is a set that came out last year. It might be going away by the end of this year. It was $9.99 on the Lego website. They are currently back ordered, but they're still available. I have a feeling these are kind of hot sellers. People are going to want more than one of these. So I would not wait to pick these up. If you see them in the store, which I have not seen them in the store in a while, really since last year. They're still available, but I haven't seen them in stores. I would definitely pick one up if you're interested. But we'll open them up, put them together, and see what they look like. And I'll let you see what they look like, and you can make up your mind whether you want to pick one up or not. So let's get open up and check them out. Here we have the contents of the box, and there was only 2 bags, so I opened them up, and they weren't even divided by steps. We got 3 booklets here. I believe this is the main build. I'm not sure which one's the secondary and the third, but they're all roughly the same size. I think it might go something like this, but I'm not sure. And I opened up the bags, but I kind of kept them separate so you can just see what's in each bag for whatever reason. But yeah, you get 2 bags in here with a lot of interesting pieces. Hey, there's the other bag. A lot of interesting pieces. Clear blue, different parts in clear blue. I like this gray, blue-gray color. It's kind of not a main color, but highlight. Transparent canopy. Got some wheels, although there's no tires. They're basically probably rocket engines. The figures here, although we saw the head over there, and it's transparent blue. Most interesting piece, I've never seen pieces like these before. Doesn't mean they haven't been in other sets. Interesting little Technic bracket piece with multiple ports that can be connected. It's very interesting. Can be used for different things. I actually hope maybe one of these builds doesn't use them, but I'm probably pushing my luck with that, so I could get some extras. But that might just be another reason to buy some more of these if I can get my hands on them. But that's for mocking purposes. So that's all it's in the box. Let's go put her together and see what it looks like, along with two others. We got the leftovers from the first build I did, which was the robot. There's quite a bit here. I think it's the smallest build. I'm not sure. First and second one both seem about the same size. There's a lot of good parts here left over. Now let's do the next one. Here we have the leftover parts from the speeder build. I believe it's the second largest build. I am quite happy because I got two of these out of this. Wanted to play around with these. And we also have an extra windscreen too. So there's really quite a bit here left over. And between this one and the first build, between the two builds, there's quite a bit of interesting pieces. Might be able to build something else out of. But yeah, I'll look at the final one. Here are our leftover pieces from the final full build of the 3-in-1, the main build. Here we have the leftover parts of the main build. And as you would expect, there's not much here, and mostly small little gribbly pieces. Got one transparent clear part and pins mostly. We have a pneumatic fork thing which could come in handy for something. Who knows? But yeah, that's it. So we have the only single character for this set. Although I do have 3 of them, but we're just going to look at one because that's what you get with one set. Very nice metallic color plastic for the body, or at least the legs. I'm not sure the main body is the same color. Well, let's see. Let's take it off and look. Yeah, it looks like it is. So that's the main color for the body. It looks really nice. The white arms, kind of cool. I don't know why they chose such a light color, but that looks good. But what's really great about this figure is the classic space symbol on the chest. And this head is very reminiscent of the very reminiscent of the old Spirius line that came out early 90s, I think. Ladies, early 90s, something like that. But they, yeah, it's a very similar type head, a clear head with a printed face. There's also printing on the back. Let's actually turn around, not flip it upside down. It's got a port back there, kind of like Zane from Ninjago. And some nice printing there as well on his back, really detailed. I like that shiny metal too. But yeah, so this is a big throwback to classic space and the space sets in general. I really like it. I like the set overall. Well, the sets overall are kind of fun vehicles and stuff, which is something you would get with space. But that's it for this figure. So here's all 3 of our vehicles here put together, and we're going to start looking at each one individually. We'll start with the robot, but just an overall thing. The robot was probably the smallest one, although these that and the speeder were really close together. The main vehicle definitely took up most of the parts and does look bigger, but these are really close. I think this one uses like a few more smaller pieces. So number wise, it uses more pieces than this, but they're about the same size, considering their build. So let's look at each one individually. Here is the robot, well, the mech. All these have robots in them, but he looks pretty good. He's very, should I say, he's an interesting design. It's kind of a nice smooth build. There's not a lot of studs showing, and he's, I don't know, it feels kind of like old classic science fiction type robot, but yet it doesn't. The legs very much feel like they're from, you know, some weird looking legs that they came up with just some springs or whatever for a classic sci-fi robot. But the rest of it, some of its angles and colors and everything else looks a little bit more polished and more modern. Really don't know what to think about. I like the looks of it, but we'll talk about my personal feelings later. But yeah, just wanted to point that out. He's got some posability here in his arms. Shoulders are on ball sockets. Then he has click hinges here for his elbows, though there's not a lot of movement with these. Click hinges there, just because there's not much to move. Same goes for this other hand, and it has finger movements or hand movements. I don't know. He's got this weird hand, which I think looks cool, and it grasps. It's interesting. It's made out of you know, just some fins, and cockpit opens. Of course, he goes in there now. If you wanted to put a regular space figure in there, you can't. If you rebuilt it, you would have to take this out here, these slope pieces, and just put something else in there, because and even then I'm not sure it would work. Maybe replace that one as a 1x2 plate there. You'd probably have to replace that with maybe either just pull it out entirely, or put some kind of a tile down instead. But yeah, he fits in there nice. There's no controls for him or anything. Considering this is the smallest set in the thing, I think it's pretty nice. And there's some room. You could do some modifications back here. You got a pinhole and studs here. There's studs here along the side as well. So you could add things to this if you wanted to. The feet are interesting because they are on, there's like a pin here and pin here, so there's a lot of rotation, as you can see, and you know, you can kind of pretend it's walking along like this, and you get a little bit movement in its feet while you're doing that. It doesn't really walk, but a little bit of a pretend goes a long way, especially with Lego. So yeah, that's the robot. So here is the airspeeder. I think it's pretty interesting looking, and it's got some interesting shapes and geometries to it. The build's rather interesting. Take this off. Got these big cannons that are on ball joints, so you could aim around with them. Although I think they're just kind of supposed to be here in this more permanent position. And the ball joints there are just, you know, to give it its interesting shape. It's got interesting controls here. He's got some clear studs, or clear panel, or clear, not studs, clear dots. Clear dots down here for his controls, and these little handles here along the side, which are made out of those pneumatic forks. Nice little engine here in the back, flying. Some anti-gravity things, you know, lifted off straight off the ground. There's also, if you lift these up, you notice there's a lot of space underneath here, and you could add more stuff to here. And there's also 2 studs on the side there that you could do something more with. I was thinking about putting like some kind of big intake vent or whatever. So these are interesting that there's like, these look good, they look finished, but you can potentially do more with them if you use your imagination, use your own parts, whatnot, even use some of the leftover parts. So that's pretty cool. Now on to our last vehicle. Here's our last vehicle, and it is the main build for this set. So there weren't any leftover parts. Well, very few. You can see it uses a lot of uses a lot of the parts we've seen already in more of them, like the double rockets that we see here, the engines, where the previous thing only used one. There's some interesting builds here. You do have these kind of joints here that are just simply pins, extra long pins, but you can move them around if you would like to aim the cannons or whatever these are supposed to be, or the engines in the back. It's kind of weird to have them on the same joint. You need to aim your steer at the same time. You're gonna mess up your aim. But cockpit opens in here, and this is where things first get interesting. Let's pull this guy out. You see what his controls are? His controls are actually mixel joints, which is clever. It looks like that, but you know, they could have done something like put regular controllers in here. But this is where I find this very interesting, because they build this main build, they didn't just build this main build and then design the rest of the sets with the parts. They actually put some thought into those other sets and what pieces they need. I'm not sure how they built all 3 together. The design process in this was definitely interesting. From just building it, it seemed to be. Because this is built, you know, this isn't super amazing shape-wise, but they use some different, like, this back tail is attached with click joints, 2 click joints. Why do you need to do that? There's other ways they could have been done that, but this leaves more parts for the other builds. The same with these wing pods and everything else. They could have been done totally different, using even simpler building techniques and stuff, and but you would even use less parts even. But they've designed it so that there's all these other parts that can be used for different things. And you see here there's sorry, more mixel joints down here, not the ball part, but the socket, and it's not doing anything, it's just sitting there. They're just using the parts to build up the back. So this was a very interesting build, which I think that's it for what I wanted to show. So let's head back to the desk and give this my final thoughts and a final evaluation. We're back here at the desk. Give this my final eval and my final thoughts. Now overall, my final thoughts, this is a great set. And all the alternates are really great too, which is why I ended up buying 3. That's $30. I don't know if you want to put that much money down on these, but either a single one of these would be really great. I mean, you can build all of these, you can tear it apart and build another one. And they're not too many pieces, so it would be a quick, wouldn't be too hard to break down and rebuild. I am loving the Android with the droid, whatever. Yeah, Android with the classic space logo, and I'm just loving these vehicles overall that are very, science fiction-y. I wouldn't quite call them all classic space, even though, the robot is definitely a callback to classic space. I mean, this thing's a bit of a speeder bike type thing, I think. That's more Star Warsy than classic space. Yeah, Star Wars isn't classic space, but meanwhile, this robot here, it leans more into the classic space appearance. And even this looks more present day sci-fi, like a plane that, looks more present day. They all look really great, which I'm just gonna stop there and say we're gonna start our final evaluation. And as far as appearance, like I said, everything looks really great. The figures look great. Oh, and I did forget to mention, it's interesting that there are all these, there's ways you could like enhance these vehicles, but they still look good despite having, some strange odd ports and things on holes here and there, and so you can do things to them, but they're also complete as they are. Add more things to them if you want. So, as far as appearance, this thing has got a 10. Easy peasy. Now, as far as function, everything works fairly well. I mean, one could argue that this guy's legs don't really function, but for the type of robot it's supposed to be and its size, I think it's fine. All you really need are the arms moving. And everything else on here, there's not a lot of functioning going on. I mean, these two are very zoomable. They're just meant to be, flying. Cockpits open up. There's plenty of room for the robot. Maybe not necessarily for a regular action figure, especially if they got a helmet or a backpack or something. Some of them would work fine. This thing would work fine for anything. But other than that, all the joints work like they're supposed to. Things, nothing amazing function-wise, and so everything works the way it's supposed to. But there's nothing amazing, so I kind of just gave it a 9. Middle ground, kind of mid. Now, fun. These are a lot of fun. You can have a lot of fun exploring with your robot. You got a lot of fun zooming around with these guys. There's a lot of fun that aspect. Now, singularly, there's only the one guy with the one vehicle. You buy one set. So there isn't any real story play in a self-contained set. So for that, I'm taking a point off, but still, this is a really fun set. The builds are all really fun to put together, and like I said, I just took the 1 point off, mainly because there's not much you can do in a self-contained set with a story or a narrative, and because of that, it got a 9. Still mid-grade, not bad at all. Now, as far as technique, there's a lot of really little cool, neat, small techniques here. And putting this together, I'm really having trouble it feels like, even though this is the main build, when they built the main build, they actually had these side builds in mind based on some of the techniques and stuff they use. This is, you know, a plane basically, except it uses like rocket engines or anti-gravity engines or something like that and stuff, and doesn't have a lot of wings. You could build that pretty simple, some basic bricks and other things, but the way they did this, using all these other parts and stuff and different techniques to do it, they didn't have to use those different techniques. Those are there so that they could put the pieces in this thing to build the other things as well. And I find that incredibly neat, and a lot of the 3-in-1s that I have put together do not do this. Like, you build the main build, and then it feels like you have the main build, and then for the other builds, it's just you use whatever you got here. This case, it doesn't feel like that. So it must. I'd love to see the behind the scenes on this and how they designed these. Simple sets, small sets, but still really good. And I gave that a 10, easy. The techniques, there's a lot of good stuff here. Not just here, but in the smaller ones as well, to get things done. The use of these like fins for his hands is kind of neat. And legs, and even in how they were implemented, all really nice. So you add all that up and you divide by 4 and you get an average of a 9.5. Now moving on to price. No, I did not get these marked down like I did some of my other 3-in-1s. But let's see, it's $9.99. Just off the bat, it's a pretty decent price, right? So $9.99, you take that, divided by 113 pieces, and you get 8 cents per piece. Well, no, I rounded it up because it's really close, so it's 9 cents per piece. Just under the 10 cents standard. That's a good price. It's not an excellent price, but it's a good price. And therefore, it got a G for good. We need more sets this size that are decent as well. This is amazing set on so many levels. For its price range, it's really fun. It's not too. It's complex enough that you feel like you're building something. I mean, I think there's some other sets that are around $10 they do have, but there's not a lot. And I know I've been doing a lot of Ninjago stuff lately, and that line is definitely missing good sets at $10. Just saying. Yeah. I mean, they have their little figure sets where they have the spin jitsu and the spinning thing, but those don't even feel like Lego sets because there's not really anything you build with them much. Putting a minifigure together and a couple other stray items for target practice or whatever, it's not a thing. We are going to look at one of those probably, since I picked one up. I don't know if I'll ever get the other ones or not. I mean, the ninjas look cool. That's the only reason why I'd want them or suggest anybody else buy them. As far as building, they're more collectors and stuff like that than they are for the builders out there. Though, you know, builders have a collector side to them too. I know I do. But yeah, so this got a G for good. Overall, final evaluation is a 9.5 G. So this is a really good set at a great price. We need more of these. And when I put these together, there were a lot of leftover parts from the side builds. I might do a little challenge sometime to myself, and try to build another vehicle out of them after getting 3 of these. I would definitely say it is worth buying multiple of these for the different builds, or even if you want multiples of the same build. I could imagine, you know, somebody wanting a fleet of these or a fleet of these or something. Not so much the robot. I do like the robot though. But yeah, so these are definitely worth it. So definitely, I'm glad I picked up 3 of these, and I love the figure. Anything classic space I love. I said the sets themselves aren't really classic space feeling, but they are definitely science fiction-y. This robot feels a little bit more classic, but yeah. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and comment what you guys think of this. If you've picked them up, I know these came out last year, so I know some of you already have them, but let me know what you guys think of these, the different builds of this set. I like the color scheme of this too. It's not one really main color scheme. There's a lot of good mixed colors, and I believe all 3 of the builds reflect that color scheme pretty well. It's not, didn't get off balance. Looked like, you know, the whole bottom of this is orange or something. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. And if you're new to my channel and haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button. We've hit 100 subscribers. I do have news coming out for that. I don't know if I said that at the beginning of this video or not, but look forward to that. And I thank all of you. We want monetization. We still got another 900 more to go. I'll leave that up to you guys. But if you want to help me out before then, more directly, there's a Patreon. Link below. It's just $1 a month. I'm not asking for too much. I will put more spots there if people are interested, or I kind of need to make. I'm not gonna. If you're giving more, I need to get back more. So I've got to develop some stuff for that. You know, for higher level tier patrons. Other than that, I was gonna keep up. You know, you get news and maybe some bit of behind the scenes stuff and polls and things like that. But if you want to help out, it's just $1 a month. And of course, always helping me indirectly by simply hitting the like button, commenting down below, sharing with others who, you know, are interested in this stuff. Fellow builders, collectors. Even if you have a parent that's got kids that are interested in this, you could let them know too. I try to give pretty easy evaluations, so people know what to buy for their kids and stuff. So that's it for me here at the Creation Evaluation Station, reminding you that creativity is key.